Hey guys, so this time we're going to check React and Dexie. So why would you need to use Dexie? In case you want to add the offline, okay, let me open this. In case you want to add the offline online sync to an application, this is the kind of the easiest way to do it using the built-in database. So you can store different things, including images and files. Okay, I can't remember the maximum size, but you should be able to store most of your things here and then make a call to upload, I don't know, to Firebase or to MongoDB, like I am using, like I am doing here in this one. Okay, I'm uploading to MongoDB, but this is just using text. Okay, I'm going to show you now how you can use, let me close that, how you can use this with files. So we can delete this and it's going to update. Let me refresh that. So let me show you, this is the first post. I had a post there because this is the second time I try to record this. So this is the first, no, first post. Let's choose a file. Let's choose this one now. Let's click submit and the state changes and we get the post. So let's check the package.json. So don't mind this one. Okay, I'm not using the detect offline. We can, it seems that we can detect as it says the online offline mode in the browser, but I'm not using that. We're going to make a video about it later. So about detecting and using this kind of feature. So we are just going to focus on Dexie and React and hooks. Let me close this. Let me close this. So let's go to the browser and let's check Dexie using npm. And you just need to run npm install Dexie and you will be all set up to start working. So since we're going to use hooks, we're just going to use useEffect and useState now. You should be able to use Redux too. I have a video about Redux and hooks. So just follow this pattern. First of all, we need to create the new instance of the Dexie database or the IndexedDB database. This is just an IndexedDB database. So inside this database, we just need to run this new Dexie React Dexie. The React Dexie is the name of the database that is going to be created. You can see here, and you can see this name posts. Okay, let me show you this, so you can check that this is okay. Is why it's not showing. Let me refresh this. It's going to take the information again. It's going to render that. So why is not? That maybe let me. Okay, you might need to refresh. Okay, using this, so you can see the data. You can check that this is the name of the field, and you can see all this crap is just the encoded information because we need to encode it in order to read it. Okay, so right now we're going to tell which version we're going to use, and or this is just a number. Okay, you can update it or whatever. And when they first run, it's going to just use the version number 1. So what is going to be inside it is going to be a table named posts with a title, content, and file fields, as you can see here. And this title, as you can see here, is going to be the primary key, something like the primary key. So in case you want to use an ID, you just need to run this using an ID in front of everything else. So it's going to use this ID. Okay, let me move this. Okay, it's going to use this ID as the primary key. So let's refresh that, save that, and we're going to open the database and catch any error that happens. So as you saw, let me move this a little bit so it doesn't look that bad. Let me close this a little bit so you can see that the post table here inside the React Dexie database inside this IndexedDB. Okay, so you can see we have two inputs. Nope, I didn't want to add that. We have two inputs and well, text input, text area, and a file that we can click and it opens our files. So let's take a look first. This is just one page, so don't worry about it. We're going to check first what we're going to use inside our form. So we have this input text, we have this text area, and we have this file input. Okay, so on change, on these first two, we're going to run the setters for the state. So if we go up here, we're just going to add this constant using post title and set title. Remember that set title is the function that we're going to use in order to set the state. So when it starts, when the application starts, all these are going to have this empty string. That is just going to be the first state. Okay, and using set, you can see that this is the naming convention, set, and then the name of whatever you're going to set. Okay, so when we run this set title or set content or any of these other two, we're going to use we're going to set the state of this respective constant. So let's take a look at how it works. So on change, whenever it changes, we're going to set the value of whatever we have on the event, passing the event, of whatever have in the event target. We're going to use a title and add that. Okay, we don't have any. Okay, I think we. Because no, it's just using the simple on change. Yes. So with this simple on change, it's going to use this inline function, and we're going to just set the information we have. Okay, like this, we're going to set the content to the target value, and here we're going to set the title with the title value. Okay, so those two are going to essentially be the same. So now we're going to do something different with this file. Well, a little bit different, not that different. So we're going to use the onChange, and we're going to pass the arrays, the array of files, using this get file that you can see is a function. Here we're not going to use set file. Okay, so just be aware of that. We need to use a different function here. We need to run a different function and pass the files, because we need to encode and decode the files. Okay, so we can read them in our application. So in case you need to do that somewhere else on another application you have, this could help you to achieve that. So let's go to get file that this is going to render. It's going to read the file and encode it and decode it. So we're going to use this function or this class that is the FileReader this is just a built-in JavaScript class. Okay, so we use the new and FileReader to instantiate a new FileReader. We store that in a variable. This is just a variable, the let reader, and we need to read whatever we have on the array of files. So remember that this is an array of files. So let me console this so you can see console.log event. This should work. Let me save that. Let me open this back again. Let's choose a file and let's choose now this one. Let's go to console, and you can see we have this file list, okay, with a length of 1, that is the 0 index, the first one, that is this error Ahmed, the size, the type, and the modified. Okay, so this means we have the information here right now, and we can just fill a second post. This is the second post, and we click submit. You can see we have the second post right there. I forgot to add the, well, fuck it. I mean, I forgot to add the wrap, so it doesn't look like this, but okay. This is just pure styling. So we're going to read whatever we have on the first spot, on the first index on this array. Okay. So remember, this is the first part we are going to, the first step, I mean, we're going to do when we click this choose a file. So that's the function is going to run this get file. So we get the first index. You should then map, if you have this event as an array, you should be able to map, okay, you can see the length, and then try to load these ones, okay, and store them, or just get an array, fill an array here, and just store that if you want multiple files. Okay, that's just an idea. I haven't tried that. So after we have this read as data URL, that is going to allow us to decode the file so we can read it. We're going to use this onload. Then we're going to pass an event. Well, I'm not sure why I need to pass an event, but because it's not being read. So we're going to set the file here after the read as URL is done inside this onload. So we're going to set the file. Right now, here at this stage, the set file runs, and we have this post file variable with the encoded information that you can see here. Okay. Now, after we have this and the rest of the inputs and text area, when we click submit, on submit, we are going to go up here to the I think it's get post info. Yes, get post info. This one. I'll just paste in there and submit. Just like that, so you can see it. So we prevent the default, so we don't refresh the browser. And I'm just going to make a simple validation, check if the post title is not equals to an empty string, the same as this one and the same as this one, because we don't want to use the first state on each of the constants. So we're going to check if it's empty, if it's an empty string, and if that is not true, if those three are not empty strings, Then we create this object using the same fields that we want to have here, of course, as the same as what we have here. So we set the title to be the post title, the post content, and the post file for the respective rest of the information to be the content and file. And then here we add the post. Then after we add the post, right now, okay, let me refresh this so you can see the second post. You will need to refresh this. I mean, you will need to click this to refresh. So after this one is added, so if you're planning to use my Angular online, offline, since it was too much information, I decided not to go too much into this, into how this worked, but I will do a little thing about files also with Angular, so you can see the differences. But after we send this, we return a promise, okay, and we can use then. So we're going to use this async in order to wait for all this to be read and to be passed into an array. Okay, so this is just a simple variable inside this function. So we're going to await. This is the way that you can retrieve the information from the database. Okay, it's going to turn everything into an array, pass it to this variable or store it in this variable, and you can use set posts to pass the contents of the array to be set as the new posts. Okay, so now we come back here to the useEffect, because at this moment we have all that, but we are not able to read the information. So you can see that when I refresh, it appears. Okay, let me even close this one, since so if I do this, let me so you can see what I'm talking about. You can see that at this moment, without the useEffect, we cannot read the information of the database. We're able only to read after, because after we set a new post inside this function, because we are going to retrieve that inside the same function and set post. So let me show you. I'm trying to make these videos again more in depth, because we're only checking this information about Dexie. Okay, so if I add another video with too much technologies, with a lot of technologies, I might not go in depth with all of them. Then if you want me to structure or to create something with each part of that, then I would go in depth, so, but I would only do it if you don't understand. If you tell me, hey, I didn't get this part, can you make a video just demonstrating that part? Okay, I will do it, so don't worry about that. You can ask me. So that's why I'm going a little more in depth in this. So this is the third post. So choose a file. I have another file here. Yep. And submit. Okay, you can see that when we submit the file, since we are setting the post here, we can read the information. So let's keep those ones. So, but that only happens after I add another file. Here, it's going to tell me that there are no posts to show, even knowing I have these three posts inside the IndexedDB. Okay, so in this case with React we need to use the useEffect to read all the information. Why is this over there? Let me move this a little bit. Okay, so you can see that it refreshed and is able to read the information. So we do the same. We create this constant get post. We use the async inside this function, so we can use await. Okay, so we are awaiting for all this information to be turned into an array. So we can assign it to post, and we can continue with this kind of JavaScript behavior that is one line at a time. Now we set the post because we already have all the posts inside an array, and we run because you can see that this is not going to run. This is just the async, and this isn't being called. So on the next line, on line 73, on line 69, we're going to just create that, and on line 73 we're going to call that. Okay, but I'm not going to remove this because it's going to create an infinite loop. So I don't want to. You can try that, because if I remove this little forgot the name, array, empty array, when we create this useEffect, meaning that when the application starts, it's going to run, it's going to add, well, I'll show you that, because I remember that it added information. It's going to duplicate the post we have. I think that is what was going to happen. Not in an infinite loop, but every time it changes, meaning every time we I forgot the fucking word. We type. Sorry, every time we type a new character inside these ones, is going to add another copy because it's reading again. Okay, and passing that, so it's going to create another copy. Oh, fuck it, let me show you. Let me open, in case it turns out to be a so we can see. Okay, so say I want to show you what happens every time. So let me remove this inside the useEffect. Okay, so now it's going to have that. Okay, it's not running. That's odd. So the console is still, well, that's odd. So let's say for it's even a little slower. You can see that it's performing slower for post because it's reading at this moment. It's not going to do that, but it's parsing. You can see that it's a lot slower, so it's holding the performance. So so maybe at this point, since everything is being handled correctly, it didn't add the, you can see that it's running a little better. Okay, you can see this and how different is the animations, a little smoother. So I can type whatever I want, and it's not going to read again. So the infinite loop is not going to happen at this moment because I handled that correctly. So it's going to run the use effect every time we create a change. Okay, so we are changing the state every time we type a character. So that means it's going to run every time it it's going to turn that into an array every time and run that. So that is what is going to hurt your performance. So be aware of that. That's why I have this one. I could even change it into an empty string. That should work. Okay. Also the images are bigger. So if you want to keep a good performance, just crop the images, treat them for the web, and optimize them, and all that. So you can see that since we have an empty string as the first state, we can use that. But since we're returning an array, I'm just using an empty array here, and that's all. So we are half the way. So let's finish it with how to get the information, that is this part, inside our template, that is going to be this below the form. So how to parse and get this, well, not parse because it's already parsed. We already did the parsing job of the file, the encoding. Let me refresh that to see if that works. Okay, it takes a little bit. So we already have the encoded data here, so we can read it. The browser is going to be able to read it and put the files there. So here we're going to use the file that we have. So we create this post data and we check if the post length is above 0, meaning there's something inside the IndexedDB, inside the posts. If not, we're going to just run this, we're going to just display this message that there are no posts to show. So let me show you. If I delete this one and this one and this one, okay, we're going to show the message. So now we are reading. So you might be thinking, where are you getting these posts? From the set posts. That is up here is this post that we are using. So it's going to create a new container, this post container, and map to the posts and return. You can use the key, or if you have the ID, you should be using the ID instead of an index. So I'm using the background image, the file as a background image, so it's all in the same height. So let's add a first post again. You can see that it's not complicated. It's not complicated to use the IndexedDB with Dexie, but there are other options that allow us to use Dexie, no, the IndexedDB. So we will take a look at them later. So I'm planning to keep this kind of because this will help you to build offline applications. So that's why I'm adding this kind of videos. So then we just get the post title and the post content. Okay, so we're mapping through all of them using this post and getting all that. So when we want to delete, So we need to run this delete post and pass in the post title. Why the post title? Because remember that, or close that shit. Remember that the first, the first key, the key is the title. So we need to pass, when we delete, we need to pass the key we want to delete. So, okay. Where the hell is, okay. Plop. So we need to pass the ID when we delete. You can see here in the DB post delete. Remember that post is the table we're using. Okay, is this table. So we need to run the delete inside this table, and we need to add the ID. So that's why we're using the title, because the post title is being used as a primary key, or as the key. So we run this with async, because we're going to return again the new post and set them into the state of the posts, and that's going to be it. You can see that it's using it with React is not that bad. You will see the differences, because I'm just going to add how to manage the files, because I already have a video about Angular and Dexie. I'm just going to add how to manage the files there, but you can see that it's a little bit of work too. But the good thing about React is that since we're managing the state right away, we're going to have this smooth changes. But with Angular, we're going to use something different, and that's the only odd thing that we need to do with Dexie and Angular when we manage files and when we manage the return of that. But we will see that, I think, next week, or maybe this same week, around Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure, because it's a short video, so this should be a short video, so I should be able to post it. And I think that's it. So you will get these files, and let me know if there's something you didn't get, so you could add the clearing of the form there. And because, okay, I forgot to show you just one more thing, one simple thing. Console, what happens if I try to upload something? I shouldn't upload anything. See, because since those three are empty, it's not going to upload anything, not empty strings or empty files, and nothing. So that's it, and see you on the next one.